Last time on the WizardCast.
Brian? Is that you?
Mark! It's about time. I've been waiting here for ages.
Why are you standing outside of Moscone West?
Mark, we're supposed to record that final Dreamforce episode. I've been waiting here for you to show up.
Brian, I had to come and find you. Dreamforce ended over a week ago. Have you been here this whole time?
Yeah, I've been here, Mark. Waiting for you to record the podcast. I mean, why would I ever record a podcast without you? Now, can you help me up? My legs kind of have atrophied.
Ew.
And now the conclusion of the WizardCast.
I'm Brian Kwong.
And I'm Mark Ross.
We're Salesforce experts that love talking about technology and Salesforce.
We also love humor. Doesn't mean we're actually good at it.
In the Salesforce community, I'm known as the Salesforce Wizard, likely due to me wearing a wizard hat at Salesforce events.
And I'm known as Salesforce Yoda for pretty much the same reason.
You should see the ears.
We have a passion to help educate and entertain people.
So we've joined forces to create WizardCast.
We've got tips and best practices.
We talk with interesting people.
All mixed with quote-unquote jokes and humor.
Welcome
to the
WizardCast. What does the clock do when it's hungry?
I give up. No, I give up. But go ahead and tell me.
It goes back 4 seconds. Get it? Huh?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, 4 is the number. It's a time travel clock joke.
No, I get it, Brian, but the clock would just stop. It wouldn't actually move backwards if it was out of power.
What?
Right? Plus, you do realize that's not actual time travel, Brian? If you move the hand of a clock backwards, you're not actually traveling in time, you know?
Prove it.
Yeah, let's just move on, because I can't do that.
Well, I don't know about you, Mark, but it is good to be back from Dreamforce. As much as I enjoy the event, there's nothing quite like sleeping in your own bed and being in your normal recording studio.
Your recording studio is like your bedroom, isn't it? Isn't it?
Technically my dining room.
I feel your pain.
I do want to thank all the people who came up to me and asked for selfies and told me how much they liked the WizardCast and all the other things I've done. I really appreciate the feedback. It means a lot.
Okay, Brian.
Yeah.
You do realize that they didn't want selfies with you. They wanted selfies with a hat, man.
Perhaps. But I think you're really just jealous that people came up to me when you weren't around to say how much they love the WizardCast.
Sure, when I wasn't around.
Seriously, like we were up on the third floor, you go off to change your shirt, and then I had 2 people come up to tell me how much they love the WizardCast.
I'm sure you did.
But,
sure you did.
Anyways,
Brian, we all know that it's pretty much just our mothers who listen to this.
Yes,
this is an established fact. This is canon. If this were Star Wars, it would be Kanan.
Okay. So
that's a really
before
bad Star Wars
recorded,
joke.
Mark, I realized something today.
What?
This is our 63rd episode. Can you believe that? 63.
I don't believe it, actually, because we number these and it says 56.
Yeah, but, that's like 56, full episodes. If we go by the fact that our first upload was March 20th, 2015, we've done 63.
That's how long we've been doing. Wait, hang on. We've been doing this for 2.5 years?
It's amazing I haven't replaced you yet. And now it's time to thank the people who make this podcast possible.
Okay. All right, go. Just get it over with.
WizardCast is brought to you by no one.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Are we finally moving on past this ridiculous charade that you concoct every single episode?
No.
Where there's not actually anybody who's a sponsor?
That's just silly, Mark. These are obviously real sponsors, and everyone knows that I'm talking about No One Incorporated. The company children everywhere purchase their No One entities, perfect for shifting your parents' blame away from you.
Introduce the guest, please.
So today's guest is the CEO of Red Argyle from the inaugural class of the Salesforce MVPs and now in the Hall of Fame, 20 years working in IT with the past 9 wholly dedicated to Salesforce product consulting, and now helping manage Red Argyle. Now, for fun, you can find him wielding a fire axe, and he's kind of scary with that. And he's also a Lego maniac. Now,
he's kind of scary with that, too.
He's very scary with that. You may also know that he's the Sith counterpart to Salesforce Yoda.
What?
He's Darth Garry, also known as Garry Polmateer. Garry, welcome to the WizardCast.
Wow. Thank you so much for the warm welcome, guys. I appreciate the invite to the show, and yeah, it's great to be here.
That was an incredibly formal introduction, Brian. That's kind of out of character for you.
Yeah, that's because Garry wrote it. So,
okay. All right.
Garry, you and I were chatting, in the expo at the Dreamforce, and you dropped this on me that I didn't quite realize. Most people, when they think about their Salesforce careers, think about going from maybe a user or as a surprise admin, then moving up to consulting or something like this. And you kind of did it backwards.
Yeah, it's been an interesting road. So I started with Salesforce, actually helping build product for a very awesome company out in Rochester, and spent a few years on the product team there, and then I went from product to consulting and implementing the product, and then I jumped out, did some Red Argyle, started basically consulting. What's the word? Eat, sleep, and breathe consulting. Salesforce for 3-4 years.
You got to sleep. I'm jealous.
Well, yeah. Then I started having kids, and started. Yeah. I kind of lost out. Now we're all even. And then what's weird is Red Argyle's kind of spun up a little bit, and we've added some folks on our team, and things are really taking off. I've kind of transitioned into more of a operations role and a sales role, which is shocking because now I find myself doing the job that I spent about 5 years training people how to do well, and it's been pretty eye-opening.
So since you've kind of done everything now as a user, do you find yourself kind of falling into those stereotypical classic user thing of basically saying, why is Salesforce so difficult? Why can't I just do this? And then realizing you actually know, one, whether or not Salesforce could do that, and two, how to fix it yourself?
Also, How often do you request a password reset?
Oh my God, 0. So I'm a big fan of password management software. I have hundreds of passwords. I don't know what any of them are. So hopefully I never lose my locker combo. But so to Brian's question, I think, I hope I don't sound like an idiot, but they say
it's the WizardCast. You're in good company.
They say doctors
it's fine.
Make the worst patients, and at least in Red Argyle's org, I'm kind of the doctor and the patient at the same time. Although we do have, we have put some governance and controls in place, so I check myself before I wreck myself and make sure I validate with the team before I get in there and start touching stuff. But to me, I think the biggest, I kind of made the big transition right when we switched our org over to Lightning. So it was literally my whole consulting career was in Classic, and my whole user career happened in Lightning. So it was almost like the cognitive dissonance wasn't so bad because I felt like I was using a new tool, even though, obviously it's the same tool, but it felt like a nice, shiny new tool.
Did you ever ask the people who are doing your admin now for a required pick or required checkbox, or maybe a multi-select list that really is only going to ever have one value in it? Or do you ever say, hey, can you just fax me my opportunity pipeline and I will send it to you updated and you can just fix it for me?
We have had so we have had the checkbox versus yes no pick list argument many times. And that's
always a good argument.
But you know what makes the pick list win every time is now you can just do a global yes no as a global pick list, and then you just they all I don't know. That's my preference. So nerdy.
So yes no pick list as a global, I like that idea, but what if you wanted something other than yes no and put in the API? You're gonna restrict the
yes no maybe?
Yes no maybe? I don't know. What is this pick list for?
Chatter me maybe. Da 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 chat. Oh, memories. You guys,
maybe.
you bring me back. You bring me back to the golden years.
Now I feel like we're about to enter like the Golden Girls sitcom any second now.
I mean, I guess as a user of my own org and kind of just like living the life that I've been preaching so many years, it is an interesting turn of events. I think if I had any talking points or real eye openers on that for anyone that's a consultant out there working with people in sales, which is where I find myself now. I think my biggest observation and piece of advice is that salespeople really aren't lazy. And it's definitely worth considering that, whoa, man, these guys are actually, and girls, are working super duper hard. And just because they don't update their data in Salesforce doesn't mean that they're lazy. It's just that they, we're always like on the move, boop, 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 from one thing to the other. And having transitioned to this role, I'm really trying to, realize the data mindset plus the workflow mindset is different than I ever thought it was as a consultant. And I'm learning a ton on this user side.
It's a matter of prioritization, right? That as a salesperson, you got to prioritize talking with people sometimes over entering data.
Yeah. I mean, I'm on 30 calls a week, maybe with some wrap up time sometimes if I'm lucky, but I've got to be able to get into my system, enter data and keep moving. And when extra processes or fields get brought into the mix, which does happen here, which is never fun, but we're always experimenting on ourselves. And I'm like, where did that field come from? Why is there an hourly rate required, validation rule on the opportunity all of a sudden? So, and it is just, you kind of realize you chafe at the changes to the process, and having felt it as a user, it does make me much more sympathetic to what I see on the flip side with my team. And it's also helped me actually coach our team better because I can realize this is what's going on in the trenches. We need to think about this stuff a lot more.
And this is one of the things I really like about your story, Garry, because, we talk to admins and developers all the time about user experience and how important it is that you need to know what your users are actually going through so you can mold the experience to fit them, not mold the people to fit the experience. And you've kind of, because you come out things kind of backwards, coming from being a product manager, then consultant and admin, and now as a user, you walked in as a user knowing exactly what the limitations of the platform are. And now that as you're experiencing the times where processes changes can be frustrating or things are changing, you kind of have the benefit of the knowledge because you've been an admin to know, hey, I could have this discussion on what can we do or what can we change to make things easier for me as a user that doesn't exist for most users. So you're kind of unique. You're kind of like, you have like all the knowledge we wish as admins that we did have because of the fact that we want to be able to provide that user experience. And often the only way we could do that is by interrupting people and saying, hey, can I sit down and watch you work for a couple hours? Which isn't the same thing as having to do the job with the knowledge of the platform at the same time. So if you were going to make a recommendation to someone on if, obviously we're not all going to be able to become salespeople, but what do you think would make the most sense from your perspective for someone who wants to be able to provide the best experience for a user when they're the admin? They don't necessarily know the job that they are adminning for.
Mm-hmm. So I think there's definitely there's a lot to unpack in that question. So I'll try not to blow the.
It was a pretty rambling
question.
question.
Huge question. Oh my God.
It was like the biggest question anyone ever asked me ever, at least as far as how long the question is. So I'll try to scale my answer.
And there was no punctuation in there. None at all.
Zero punctuation.
Well-placed semicolons, verbal semicolons. So I think there's a couple things. I mean, number one, as a user, there is nothing but the user experience. Like, that's why it's called the user experience, because as someone that's a user, like, that's all they see are the screens that you're presenting them. They don't see the stack of technology. And frankly, whether it's beautiful underneath or ugly, but gets the job done, you got to think about what the user is able to see and touch every day. And I really think that my advice to admins or consultants or anyone who is interfacing with the business of sales needs to do everything they can to learn what salespeople do every day, how sales work, how sales management works. And it's so easy as an admin. I did it for years. Like, we focus on the technology, and I mean, Salesforce is amazing and we could do so much stuff, but we have to round that knowledge out with the people that we're trying to help with the technology and what they're going through every day. And kind of approaching it from this, other side, so to speak. It's been eye-opening. Thankfully, over the years, I had a lot of really good mentors that kind of taught me look at stories and UX first. And luckily I never found myself really far on the wrong side of that issue. But, now I can really feel it end to end, what's going on. And it's definitely helped me with, with the consulting work that I'm still involved in and all that fun stuff. Hopefully that answers it, sort of.
It was an appropriate answer for a very long question.
So you started as product. This is actually the part of your story that interests me, because that's an interesting start. When you started as product, I think Brian's heard more of your story than I have. Were you working with an ISV?
Yeah.
Or how was this product management exactly?
So, without naming names specifically,
okay,
because protect the innocent.
Right.
And just, every transition I've had in my career has been a positive one. I've still got great relationships with every single boss I've ever worked for in my whole career. And don't burn bridges is the lesson. I even still work for a couple of them. I mean, it's amazing how things just come back as you move on in your career, and things in the past make sense. But so I got hired for a nonprofit association management company that worked on a third party that we call them AMS platforms in the space, association management system. And I got hired as a business analyst to help with web requirements for the front end of that, because it was kind of like when everything was transitioning from really boring tech stacks to web-based tools and that kind of stuff. And they needed BAs for web stuff. So I got brought in for that. And I started in the position very first day. I'm all excited. I'm going to go learn this new web stuff. And my boss says, we need to talk. And this was in 2008, if you remember, when the whole world was just exploding and just everything was going down in shambles. And I'm like, I just quit my job and I'm about to get canned because of this terrible financial meltdown that's going on right now. I just bought a new car because I had to drive far. And it was a nightmare. And then he says, so I went to this show last week. It was called Dreamforce. And we were totally, absolutely blown away by the technology. And we were thinking maybe instead of working on this legacy tool, if you could look at this Salesforce thing and let me know if you want to be on the Salesforce team that we're going to start. And not having heard of it, I was like, oh man, give me a little time to think it over. And he gave me, at the time, it was like the equivalent of Trailhead. It was just a book like this fat and a CD-ROM.
I remember
it was
the book.
about 2 inches, since this is an audio format.
The CD-ROM had demo data and stuff on it, and the book had a couple, you work through building an application for, I think, hiring, so that the data was different CSV files that you would load data loader and have your little HR.
I have a copy of that simplest.
So I came in the next day, and I didn't build the whole thing, but I got pretty far along, and I was like, oh my God, this is life-changing. I am in. Count me in. Let's build this team. Let's do this. And then it was just Salesforce off to the races. And Twitter, I got on Twitter, 3 months later, and
Twitter thing.
Oh my God, then I met my people, and then we got the community, we got in the community, and then that's the part where all the fireworks start going off, and it's just we're not out alone on this crazy journey. And
whiz bang, Johnny, whiz bang.
Things got crazy after that.
But so you ended up with this product management thing.
Mm-hmm.
So is instead of accidental admin, it was accidental product management?
So I was product managing it I probably was in that role for 6 to 8 months. But then what happened was because I had a lot of nonprofit management experience in my previous role, I kind of knew the tech, I knew the business. I was interfacing really well with prospects and clients. So I started consulting on the product implementation, which is pretty heavy app. It was, CRM plus event management, plus accounting integration, plus data conversions, plus all kinds of stuff. So I got in on a couple, pretty
hat you had to wear.
Pretty light, pretty large, interesting, projects that went for a while. And that's how I kind of got more consultative in my career.
So do you have any advice then for somebody who maybe is, because this is the thing, as the Salesforce career path is no longer what it used to be.
It used to
diverse. It used to be like admin, maybe developer, if not then like BA/senior BA. Like it was a very kind of linear path, and it's now going crazy gangbusters, all the different types of ways, and product manager is one of those ways that is happening. So I guess you kind of did the reverse, but do you have any advice for somebody going into product management from a Salesforce perspective?
Yeah, I think for me, when I look back, my, I don't know, it's 7 or 8 year ago self and think, what could I have done better in the role? And I would say I didn't think big enough. And I know that sounds very contrite, but as an example, one time I was having a one-on-one with my supervisor, and I said, he's like, all right, you're the product manager. What's your next move? And all my energy was on features. It was features and, solving problems. And he was like, no, man. Like, you're looking at this the wrong way. Here's what I want you to do. Like, yeah, features are one aspect of the job, but you got to go out there and interview potential customers and find out what our target market is, and then figure out what kind of partnership program we could have, and go on a road show and meet potential partners and go to these trade shows and get booths and figure out how you can get Salesforce to give us money and grants so that we could develop stuff and get resources. And I mean,
just do everything, Garry. Just do everything. Come on.
But I mean, it seems totally like an over the top request. But when at least when I look back, I think I was thinking in this little tiny comfort zone in this box. And even though I was in this amazing job with this really great responsibility of shepherding the beginnings of this product, it was, there was so much room for a vision that could lead to execution. And so someone that's getting into product management or thinking about it, my advice would be, think big and think in multi-dimensions beyond features, because a product is a set of features and it solves a set of problems, but really it's all the stuff around that makes a product great, in my opinion. My lofty opinion.
So let's talk for a moment, if we could, about Legos.
The Legos.
That's a big 180. Man,
you made a bit of a name for yourself.
Learned about you. Yeah, I learned about you from the Lego film.
Yeah,
not the Lego movie. The Lego film. Yeah.
So this might be the first time I've ever told this story on tape. So this is like a WizardCast exclusive. So I'll give you the dirt on the Lego movie story. You might want to edit it down. I don't know, but so this is what happened.
I'll take out all the curse words.
Dreamforce. Oh yeah, are you gonna bleep me out? That'd be great.
I'll safe harbor you out.
So I Dreamforce 09 as that approached. So I am pretty avid Lego collector. I just got this idea. I'm gonna build. I'm gonna build Moscone Center out of Lego. So I did. It was pretty meh. It's like I'm gesturing with my hands because we have camera right now. But it's like one of the 12 by 12 plates. No big deal. Posted it on Facebook and stuff, and or Twitter, and somebody at Salesforce saw it, and Salesforce posted it on their official Facebook feed and a couple other things, and some people saw it, but then that was it, and then Dreamforce came and went. Then 10 rolled around, and someone from the executive team wrote me a letter and said, there's some people at Salesforce that really liked what you did with Lego. Can you build a bigger one and maybe send us some shots of it? So, I was like, all right, I didn't have any kids at the time and tons of spare time. So, 6-pack and get my bricks out. And a couple of my actually a brother, one of my good friends came over, and I didn't have enough. So he brought all his over, and we built up the one that was in the video and then sent the pictures in. And then Salesforce was like, oh my God, we want to make a video about this. And I'm like, all right, well, I got, I take some shots with my iPhone and send it over. And they're like, no, where do you live? We're sending a crew. So, yeah. So this is the part that I don't know if it's ever on a tape. And I tell people this all the time. I say, I didn't make that video. I made like a crappy homemade version the year before that Salesforce wanted to put the shine on, and they sent a crew out. And, we spent a day in my basement, which is pretty embarrassing actually, but, built, shooting the movie. And then they like, all right. And I was at Dreamforce and all that stuff happened. And it was,
this is where Lego builds happen, is in basements. So it's
yeah. It was a lot of fun, and again, I think it's just like, that was just a little bit of like trail magic, in career wise, but, also just, it was just so much fun. Like everything with that project was a lot of fun. And I still people come up to me and they're like, hey, I remember the movie. And, of course I'm kind of like, I'm like, we do a lot of consulting too. But, it's fine. It's all good. And I wouldn't change it for the world. And I can't wait to show my kids when they get a little older and all that stuff.
And they showed that video at Dreamforce 2010, was it?
Yeah, I think it was the first keynote or the second keynote.
They showed it at the keynote, and then they recycled bits and pieces of it in a couple other campaigns over the years. And
yeah. And the interesting thing is that was my first Dreamforce, and I was sure to attend the keynotes. So I know for a fact I saw that video. That was my that Dreamforce was my first exposure to Salesforce.
Mm-hmm.
And I came away from that Dreamforce feeling like the Kool-Aid vibrating all around me, right? It was basically like I understood the community thing. I like knew how everything worked. I didn't know how everything Salesforce worked, but I kind of understood like this idea of what the software was and why it was so important to people, even though at that point it was no software.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that video was part of what communicated to me the level of love that people had. Because the world I came from, people didn't love the software, right? I came from doing lamp setups. And the closest thing you ever got to love for a lamp setup, God dang it, was exactly was people who were Linux aficionados. Like you had people who were obsessed with Linux, and that was the closest thing you got. And so seeing this was like, wow, this is a very different kind of thing. So thank you for that video.
Interesting you said Kool-Aid, because I get that a lot from people that aren't in the space. And what I could say is this. It could be looked at like there's a lot of Kool-Aid or you're drinking the Kool-Aid, except for the fact that it's legit. Like it's like
it's a positive thing. No one's forcing people to drink Kool-Aid.
It's not store brand great value Kool-Aid. This is actually like Kool-Aid brand Kool-Aid. It's the real thing. This is Ecto Cooler. This is the kind of stuff that is legit. And yes, it's still Kool-Aid. I acknowledge that there's a certain amount of shine and happy feely that we all get about it, but there's a reason.
Well, it's just and maybe I'll digress a little bit to the what the term is that was pushed this year is Trailblazer Story. Mm. And at first I was like, is this a good thing? And then I started hearing people's stories, and I'm like, this is amazing. And it was the week after Dreamforce, and I was talking to someone, and she told me about how she, was just kind of down and out, had some bad luck, fell into a Salesforce, sales ops position, got trained, got a certification. Now she's like running a pretty big org and just this career arc that this technology allows you to go on, and the tools that they're providing and the community that they've built around it. The love is real. It's great stuff. It's software, but it's people. It's actually all the people around that make Salesforce great. The technology is obviously the core of what makes the whole machine run, but it's the way that all of us people have made it great.
Amen.
Warm hearts.
Getting very lofty, but hey, here we are, and it's going well. So
I do have a very serious question for you, Garry, because there's been a lot of accusations floating around about you, and some of them I think are very, very, very serious. So how do you address the fact that you are a tree murderer and you are going hack and slash against poor trees everywhere?
So this is God's honest truth. I don't cut trees down. I cut them up.
So you're the disposal unit for the person who's actually committing the tree murder.
He's the cleaner, yeah? He's the guy you call when you need to get things...
Wolf. I come make it disappear. No. I thought you were gonna something real was going on for a second. You got all serious.
Yeah, he does that. It's a pump fake.
I mean,
it's one of the only things I do well.
We're we spend a lot of time looking at monitors and typing and moving our mouses around, and I just kind of I have to it's kind of like the Force, right? The stronger the dark side gets, the stronger the light side gets, and I've got to get the balance. And for me, the balance is cutting wood up, and I live upstate New York. There's ample blowdown, and that's where most of my wood comes from. It's either blowdown or architectural. Somebody had to cut a tree down because it was threatening the property or something. So it lands on the ground. I go cut it all up with a couple of my chainsaws, depending on the task at hand, and then I bring it home and split it and burn it, and it's practically carbon neutral heat in the cold winters we get up here, and a whole lot of fun, and it's basically the only exercise I get. So it's kind of kills three birds with one stone.
And you have to see this. So if you go to YouTube and do a search for Darth Garry, there's some kind of scary wood splitting here. I would be I've done my share of wood splitting in my life back when I was much more in shape and not carrying quite as much of a tub in my tummy. I think logs everywhere should be afraid of you.
I'll have to give credit where credit is due. I'm just trying to keep up with my younger brother, who is the pioneer in our family and got me into the business of processing wood. But he's a machine. I'm just like a busted up, semi-functional machine compared to him.
All right, when the zombie apocalypse occurs, I need you and your brother in my camp.
Well, I guarantee we'll be warm because I'm working on a 3-year supply. So I always have 3 years worth of wood, and I burn about 5 cord a year. So that's a 15-year strategic.
I go through maybe a cord.
Well, my lovely wife likes to keep it super warm. And so who can blame her when we have effectively infinite heat sitting out in the driveway?
I just try to not burn any of my cords because I need them to power my electronics. What? I'm serious.
Yeah.
What's a cord?
You forgot. I'm supposed to play the dumb one on this podcast.
But we're talking about outdoor things, and automatically I become the dumb one.
Oh. Wait, that makes me the outdoorsman of the two of us?
Sadly, yes.
Wow. That's really sad. Cords of wood, it's a measurement size.
Okay.
All right.
I think we're outdoors right now.
Yeah, I mean, you should see this. Gary's wearing a flannel shirt. I mean, he's
it's red. It's red plaid. It's not Argyle. I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah, I'm half waiting for Red Green to walk out on the door behind him with a roll of duct tape.
Well, you don't want to see my coat that's sitting next to me. Then I just got this from a yard sale. It's a classic wool, super scratchy old hunter coat.
Okay, wait, no. Hold that up and pretend you're having. No, hold up that coat and pretend you're having fun.
I am having fun. I'm not pretending.
There. That will be our podcast photo for you.
We have ample Argyle all over the place in here.
All right, I got one more question for you.
Okay.
What's the plural of Lego?
It's a plural all into itself. Like there is no S. I can't even say it. Just like it like hurts my soul. You could say Lego bricks. I have a lot of Lego bricks.
Right.
There is no Lego S.
It's not Lego.
That's like maybe in a parallel universe. There's a thing called LEGOS, but not in this one.
I always thought it was LEGOES.
It's like toes. Legos. But no, and so where this comes from is the Lego company has actually officially, for people who don't know, the Lego company has officially said that there's no such word as Legos. That is actually bad form.
What's a brand name?
Lego. Yeah, well, the individuals are either Lego
bricks.
Like multiples are Lego or Lego bricks, one of the two.
Yeah.
Okay.
There is no. If you're an AFOL, you know how the lingo's got to go. AFOL, adult fan of Lego. For those of you who
Oh, they love you. AFOLs love your acronyms.
I don't know half of them.
The snot builds.
I'm very Stud's not on top.
That's not on top.
Yep. I can't say I've mastered that technique yet, but
I know. Oh, that's tricky. I know a little too much with the daughter getting involved with Legos, and then of course my wife and I did tons of research and started buying all this stuff, and then we're doing everything, and the daughter's not touching it at all, and it got sad.
Gary, are you a master builder?
Not even close.
Or are you Lord Business?
I'm really good at following the directions.
You are the CEO, so you are kind of Lord Business now.
My wife calls me President Business because I have a fairly large number of Technic flagship sets that are on a shelf that I let my kids touch, but not really touch. But
these are daddy's things.
I've got all my stuff carefully sorted, and all my kids are in one big bin.
Wait, all your kids are in one big bin?
Yeah, all of my kids' bricks.
The kids' bricks, not the actual kids.
Okay.
They're kind of at that age where they're starting to transition from I don't want to put them all in my mouth and die to so they have a lot of Duplo, and now they're starting to migrate into the more.
Are you releasing the crackle?
I don't know if I've ever glued any. I don't think I have. I probably was tempted when I was a kid building stuff, but not. I'm a better engineer now as an adult. I don't have to glue them. Hey, here's all the original guys and girls from the movie.
Oh, you actually has
your coffee. There's Eric. There's Mark. There's the guy that I use for myself. There's
the audio format.
Yeah.
He actually has a minifig display case with the Salesforce minifigs in it.
Gary, take a picture of that and send it to me. We'll put it in the show notes.
Okay. Got it.
All right. Last question, Gary. Okay. This is the important one. If you could ask one question to Parker Harris, what would it be?
One question to Parker Harris. Man, you really put me on the spot. Well, first of all, I would say thank you for making Lightning so much faster in the winter release, because
yes, thank God.
I have seen insane performance increases. Remember that whole part of the show where we talked about I'm a user now? Well, about 4 months ago, I was like pulling my hair out. Why am I having 6-second load times? And now the same page is like 1 second. I mean, it is intensely faster. And I'm not making it up. Like it's so much faster. So first I would say thank you for that. I mean, I guess I would want to know, what's the next big thing for Lightning? I mean, it's changed our relationship with Salesforce so much, both me as a user, my team as consultants, I mean, and our clients and the way they're able to use the app and the stuff that we're able to imagine. So I'd really just want to know what's next. I mean, you're innovating so quickly. You've built this amazing API driven framework. Where are you guys going to take it? Because I think, again, that's going to really be the, again, as a user, there's nothing but UX. So that's going to be the thing that keeps making Salesforce great for all the people that are using the tool. So, show me the 5 release roadmap. I'd be curious what's going on down the road. There you go.
Amen.
Yeah, I didn't write a closeout for this interview.
You didn't?
I did not.
The hell's the matter with you?
I never write closeouts for the
So maybe what you should do is you should thank the guest for coming on the show.
Oh, that would be a thing a host would do.
That would be a normal thing. Yes, very common. Best practice even, maybe.
Well, Gary, I would like to thank you for coming on to the show and talking to us a little bit about your Trailblazer Story. We'll steal that branding from Salesforce for this. And about your Legos and scaring the crap out of me with those fire axes. My goodness. So thank you for coming. I hope you had fun.
Oh, yeah. It was a ton of fun. I appreciate it. And again, I'd give you guys a hug if I were in the same room versus over the internet.
Internet hugs.
I love the community. I love what you guys do. I love the show, and thank you so much. It's an honor to be invited, and I'll see you around. Can't wait.
Please don't go shining on us.
WizardCast is produced by Brian Kwong and Mark Ross, directed by Brian Kwong and Mark Ross, technical administration by Brian Kwong and Mark Ross, script writing by Brian Kwong and Mark Ross, audio editing by Brian Kwong and Mark Ross, website maintenance by Brian Kwong and Mark Ross, and our intern this episode was Christy Diedrich.
Who's that?
Christy Diedrich.
Yeah, who is that?
She's a WizardCast fan. She's one of the people who came up and talked to me about it when you were not there.
Right. Okay. One of those. Send us your interview suggestions, jokes, videos, tips, and feedback to wizardcast@thewizardnews.com, or head over to thewizardnews.com and click Contact WizardCast.
No, I'm serious, Mark. That's a legitimate people. I took pictures and everything.
Right.
I sent it to you.
So sure.
We want to hear from you. Now, if you could ask Parker Harris one question, what would it be?
Not you, Gary.
Yeah, you already answered.
Everybody else. So, Mom, if you could ask something of Parker Harris, what would it be? Submit a question by going to bit.ly/ParkerQuestions, all lowercase, and fill out our short form.
It's also almost time for our next idea exchange highlight. We want to know, what ideas do you want other people to know about? Is there something languishing on the ideas exchange? Is there something you voted for and you're wondering why aren't more people voting? Like my poor 30-point idea. You guys really should want more custom settings and permissions accessible in Flow. I mean, come on.
So if you do have that idea, it's yet another bit.ly link, bit.ly/idea highlight. Again, lowercase, to submit an idea.
Don't forget to subscribe to the WizardCast and receive our next episode automatically.
And please post reviews on iTunes, share this episode. It helps other people learn about the show.
Once again, I'm Brian.
And I'm a snot build.
Thanks for listening. What's a snot build?
Studs not on top.
Expansion of the acronym is just as meaningless. Yeah, can you give me your best Here's Johnny?
No, I don't think he can.
I don't know. I feel like if I do, it's going to show up somewhere, and it's going to...
You're perpetuating the stereotype, Brian. Perpetuating the stereotype.